On today's episode of Time About the Movies, we kick off February 2013 Super Bowl weekend where the Ravens play the 49ers, and of course the Ravens won that game. But before people watch that game, what were they going to the movies to see? We have a romantic comedy with a very different take, with zombies involved in it. Nicholas Hoult and Teresa Palmer starring in Warm Bodies. We have Sylvester Stallone back on the action film beat with Bullet to the Head. And we have Al Pacino, Alan Arkin, and Christopher Walken in the crime comedy Stand Up Guys. February 1st, 2013. It's just Time About the Movies.
Warm bodies be dead. It's too much. Rated PG-13, February 1st.
And welcome to Time About the Movies. Today we are taking a look at the first three films of February 2013. And we start off with our first film, Warm Bodies, which focuses on the development of a relationship between Julie, played by Teresa Palmer, a young woman, and R, played by Nicholas Hoult, who's a zombie, and how their eventual romance develops throughout. The film is noted for displaying human characteristics and zombie characters and being told from a zombie's perspective. As you can tell from the trailer early on, he kind of starts off like a regular zombie, doing the whole brains and all that type of stuff, not really having a vocabulary, but as the film goes on, he starts to talk more like the humans do, and that's one of the things I kind of thought was pretty interesting about this film. But I did really enjoy this movie a lot. It was actually very, very good. I thought it was very cute. I thought it was very creative for what they were able to do. I thought it was an overall solid movie. I mean, I thought Holt and Palmer worked off each other very well. Rob Corddry's given a really good performance in here. They don't really have a whole lot of dialogue to work with because they're zombies, but you buy their chemistry when these two, you buy Holt's chemistry with Palmer, but you also buy it with Corddry as well. Even though him and Corddry can't really talk about much because Corddry's obviously a zombie, but if there's some things I have with the flaws of the film, I thought the visual effects overall were pretty good for the most part here. Maybe not flaws just yet. I'll get to the flaws a little bit on, but I did really like the visual effects on this. I thought the bonies overall were actually kind of cool. They didn't look fake. They actually look realistic and actually look really, really cool overall when they did that. I thought the humor and the comedy was very well done. Jonathan Levine, who made one of my favorite movies of 2011, 50/50, does a great job with this as the director of this movie. The one flaw I have with this film in particular is the fact that it's the way that the zombies change course over the film. They don't really explain why it's because of, Nicholas Holt's feelings for Teresa Palmer's character that all the zombies are changing back into normal beings. I mean, it's just kind of like, it just kind of happens. There's not really given a whole lot of explanation for it. I don't know if it's explained in the book that this is based off of, but I don't know. I don't really know if it was something brought up in the book or not, but like I said, it doesn't really overall ruin the ebb and flow of the movie. It's kind of like the Groundhog Day thing with me. Like, why is Phil Connors always waking up on Groundhog Day? We never find out. We never get an explanation for it, and we don't know how long he's been doing it, but you just kind of accept it because the movie's doing a good enough job that you don't really question it overall. And this movie did a fantastic job with the material that was given to them. It was a solid romantic comedy. It's on that same creative and unique level that something like Shaun of the Dead was 10 years ago. And it really doesn't have any major flaws with it, except the one I mentioned. But even then, this is still a really good movie. And so far, we've had some pretty good films to start this year off here. We've already had The Last Stand, which was pretty awesome, and now this one. And then next week, we'll have another one of my favorite movies of the year coming up. But I'll touch on that at the end of the show. But, yeah, that's Warm Body. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and it's Sylvester Stallone joining his pals Jason Statham and Arnold Schwarzenegger in the action movie circuit to start the year off with Bullet to the Head.
Just kill a guy like that!
I just did. Starts February 1st.
Yeah, fuck Rocky and First Blood. No. When you think Sylvester Stallone, all you think of is action and explosions and car chases, which I guess for some people that's what it is, but forget his more dramatic roles overall. No. This is the shit you want to see, which obviously was not the case because this, unfortunately, like The Last Stand, was also a flop. But Bullet to the Head. After watching their respective partners die, a New Orleans hitman played by Sylvester Stallone and a Washington, D.C. detective played by Soon Kang from Fast and Furious form an alliance in order to bring down their common enemies played by Christian Slater, Adewale Akino Agbaje, and Jason Momoa in one of his first real big roles coming off of the Power Rangers show that he was on back then. But this was like right after the bad Conan O'Brien remake. Good lord. Jason Momoa's Conan O'Brien would be very interesting, but not the Conan the Barbarian remake. Almost did it again. Conan the Barbarian remake that he was in, which was bad. You know, this was his first real movie where he gets to show everybody that, hey, he's got some chops overall, and to save Sylvester Stallone's daughter, played by Sarah Shahi from Fairly Legal. And the movie is based off the graphic novel from France, and it feels like a graphic novel with shots that cut in the way you'd likely see in a graphic novel, and it follows in the footsteps of the aforementioned The Last Stand, which was a bomb at the box office. However, unlike The Last Stand, which was a really damn good action movie that should have been set up for seen by more people, this one didn't quite live up to the expectations I was hoping for, but I liked it. I didn't think it was as bad. I didn't think it was bad or anything, but comparing this to The Last Stand is going to win easily, which there is a lot of stuff here that actually does work. I mean, Stallone does show that he's still a force not to be messed with when it comes to these type of films, playing Jimmy Bobo. He's not unintelligible. You can understand what he's saying, unlike in Expendables 2, and he can still kick my ass any day of the week. Hell, he could probably still do it now, but what 13 years after this movie came out, I don't know exactly how old he is, but he's got to be up in his 70s at this point, right? I just got to see. 1946, so he's closing in on 70. He's 69, right? Oh, yeah, no, he's actually closing in on 80, 79. So, yeah, there you go, 79 years old. Oh, I mean, he could probably still kick my ass even to this very day, but I like that. I like his chemistry with Kang in this. He's very believable. You can buy their conversations. Like, they don't really work all that well, but they're fine for what they're doing here. But Jason Momoa actually does show promise as an antagonist in here. He's one of the bad guys that kills nearly everybody in the movie. And I like Sarah Shahi here. I've always liked her. I liked her in Fairly Legal, the show that was on USA. I just wish she would have gotten some better roles to branch out of here. I like that the movie wasn't overly long. It's not a big, epic 2.5 hour movie. It's only 91 minutes long. It knew how to get the aspects of the story out in time, and I was never really bored with the film per se. The flaws really begin with the villains overall. I like Jason Momoa in here, but it was basically, a movie can't really decide who the main villain really is. Is it supposed to be Agbahi, or is it supposed to be Momoa? Momoa's the one who's killing and brutally beating everybody, and it comes to a point where I couldn't tell you who the main villain was here. Like, who was it supposed to be? Was it supposed to be this guy, or was it supposed to be the other guy? And the film never really gives you an explanation of who the bad guy really is. If there's any the biggest main problem with the movie is that there isn't a major action scene or a final action climax at all. Like, you know, I mean, I might have been expecting way too much after Expendables 2 had that amazing climax at the end with everybody, all the big action stars from back in the day beating each other up, which nearly saved that movie from not having anything of worthy value to it, but the final climax is literally a scene that could have been used in Expendables as an action scene in the middle of the movie. It's really no climax whatsoever. It's essentially a Viking-style fight between Stallone and Momoa, which would be interesting, but not really as the big main ending of your movie. It's just kind of like, what are we even doing with this? It didn't feel like it fit right into where they were supposed to be putting that in. I mean, Bullet of the Head had some good stuff to it. There were some fun, over-the-top scenes that actually do kind of work to the film's advantage, but it's no Last Stand. Last Stand, I think, perfected that all too well. This one is just okay. There's things about it that puts it a little bit over the hump to something that's kind of enjoyable, but nothing that I would honestly say is something that you really need to see. Like, I would only say see it if you're a diehard Stallone fan and you want to see Stallone kicking some ass in this, but other than that, though, there's really no other reason to see Bullet to the Head whatsoever, so take that for what you will. So with that said, let's move on to our last movie that we have here. Al Pacino, Alan Arkin, and Christopher Walken in Stand Up Guys.
My mouth. Stand Up Guys. Rated R. In theaters February 1st.
Directed by the guy who played the Indian guy in Short Circuit, who was not Indian at all. Fisher Stevens directed this movie. This is Stand Up Guys, and I could not honestly tell you right from the get-go what the premise of this movie is. I just know that it's three old actors you're very familiar with. I guess they're doing some kind of thing. One of them was in prison. So after 28 years, Al Pacino gets out of prison, and his friend Doc, played by Christopher Walken, picks him up. The local bomb boss Clap Hands, literally his name is Clap Hands, played by Mark Margolis, who is is that the wheelchair guy from Better Call Saul? Breaking Bad? It is. It is Hector from Breaking Bad. You know, look at me, Hector. Look at me. And then he blows up Giancarlo Esposito and half of his face comes off. Yeah, that's the guy that's in this movie. I completely forgot that was him. The local mob boss Clap Hands wants Val dead. Clap Hands' son died in the robbery and he blames Val, and Doc has until morning to kill him. It's a long night. Val wants to party, and they visit the cat house. Val needs Viagra. They break into a pharmacy, and after midnight, they pick up Hirsch, played by Alan Arkin, their old wheelman, driving a city in a stolen car. They visit the cat house, help a woman in distress bury a body, and eat at Doc's Hangout, a cafe where the waitress Alex is cheerful. Alex being played by Addison Timlin. I don't know. I thought she was younger now. How old is she? Because I've seen her before in other movies, but I'll look it up in just a second here. But give me the plot again. There we go. The sun rises. Clap Hands wants Val dead, and Val, who has figured out his own fate, is resigned. Is there anything left to take care of? Yeah, figure out what kind of direction you want to take your movie, because I could not tell you what type of a film this was supposed to be. Like, this movie felt like it was all over the place. No, I guess she is older. I mean, she's 34 years old. She was on Californication. And she was married to the guy from Shameless, Jeremy Allen White, who is, of course, now on The Bear, just played Bruce Springsteen, so there you go. I just wanted to give you an update on that one. But yeah, this movie's biggest problem is that the direction is all over the place. Does it want to be like a Hangover-esque type of comedy, or does it want to be something in the same vein of a crime comedy, a crime comedy in general? Because, you know, you can't really tell what the direction is supposed to be here. You can't tell who's supposed to be what here, and you know, none of these guys really feel like they're part of like an old mob boss crew, like the ones in The Crew. Like, if you ever see The Crew with Burt Reynolds and Richard Dreyfuss and Seymour Cassell, they were at least in the mafia, and they were still doing it after all these years. But this is nothing like that at all. It just really feels like it's all over the place in terms of the story, in terms of the plot, and just does not really have an indication of where they want to go with it. And that's really kind of the major flaw of the film as well. And that's just and you know, you got a cast also includes Juliana Margulies, Lucy Punch, Vanessa Folito, Catherine Winnick, Bill Burr. So there is a good cast involved in here, but the direction, the tone, there's really nothing about this movie that makes you think that this film has an idea of what the direction is supposed to be going with here, and there's just nothing there that makes this worth it in the end. It feels empty. It honestly just feels like an empty film where nothing of value is going to come from it, and you're just only going to see it because, hey, you like Pacino walking and Arkin together, and I guess they're fine in here, but we go to see these movies with them to see a much better film than anything they're bringing up in this film, and yeah, it just doesn't work for me. It just didn't work on all levels. I think it was just a bad script overall. No real direction of where they were going with it. Just, they brought these veteran actors in here and said, here, do whatever you want, and we'll put it into film, and we'll see if we can write a story around it. That's really what it felt like to me when I watched this. So, yeah, I would say skip stand-up, guys, if you can. And so, with that said, we wrap up another episode of Time About the Movies. Next time we meet, we jump into the next weekend of February, and we're starting off with a very lackluster comedy. In fact, one of the worst comedies of the year, if not the worst. Jason Bateman and Melissa McCarthy starring in the action comedy Identity Thief. We also have Steven Soderbergh's latest film, Side Effects, which features Channing... Does this one feature Channing Tatum or... Yeah, Channing Tatum's in it, along with Rooney Mara, Jude Law, and Catherine Zeta-Jones. A very interesting film overall. One that, kind of like with Haywire, didn't get the best reputation when it came out. It came and went. But it's one you want to check out. But we'll talk about that next time. We'll talk about the 3D re-release of Top Gun. I guess they were going to put this out... No, it was released in 1986, so it wouldn't have been a 25th anniversary re-release. But they're re-releasing it in 3D because the 3D re-release trend is still up there, and they're going to try to see if they can squeeze out as much money as they can. And then we have probably the more interesting film of the entire weekend, Charlie Sheen, in his first major film role after leading 2.5 Men. It's a glimpse inside the mind of Charles Schwann III. It's one of A24's earliest films. Does it pan out? I don't know, but it gives you an indication of what A24 is pretty much known for if you see the film. But we'll talk about that. 4 films to take a look at. That'll be coming up tomorrow on the show, so stay tuned for that. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.